Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE SmackDown Live episode 1026, 205 Live episode 125, and the latest episode of Miz and Mrs., which is very good. I don't remember the specifics of this one. They're trying to get time alone together and kept referring, using signature moves to describe sex acts. Or not really describe. They're just saying signature moves and suggesting that those are sex acts. Anyway, it was pretty funny. I like that show a lot. This is night 2 of the Superstar Shakeup. We opened up with the KO show with special guest Kofi Kingston. He offers to join the New Day to replace the injured Big E, and they take him up on the offer. Except he has to go through initiation later. So that they can fight as a team against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. And backstage, we see that Cesaro asked to join in. I am concerned. Where is Sheamus? Did he have trouble getting to Montreal? I hope it was something as not harm. What is the word I'm looking for? As not serious as that. I hope that we see him next week reunited as the Bar, because it was kind of sad seeing Cesaro just by himself. He had 2 new friends, of course, but hope Sheamus is all right. So Big O, later on, he goes through the initiation, which is to eat a whole plate of pancakes, a whole platter of pancakes, a plethora of pancakes on a platter, in a time. He has to beat Big E's record for that. And he does by like a few seconds or something. That was a commercial break, so actually eat all those pancakes. If he did, he was fooled. He was fooled into thinking he had to. We had Finn Balor join the SmackDown roster and fought Ali to kick things off. Finn Balor won. And I don't think it was a championship match for the Intercontinental Championship, but it was very good. It was awesome to see these two fight each other. Then we had Charlotte fight Carmella in a match that I felt like was a lot longer than it should have been. And I thought for sure it was going to get interrupted by a surprise, one of the shakeups from Raw. But the match completed of its own volition as Charlotte won with the figure 8 leg lock. And then Lars Sullivan came out and attacked R-Truth. It was later confirmed Lars Sullivan is on SmackDown now. Then after this, Becky came out and she was challenged by Ember Moon, and Ember was kind of mean. And then was challenged by Bayley, who was also kind of mean. But then the Iconics interrupted, and then they were, of course, mean because they're the Iconics, and they're very funny also. And then Paige comes out, and she's about to introduce her tag team when Mandy and Sonya come out and say, well, it's about time we got Absolution back together. But Paige says, no. This is my tag team. It's Asuka and Kairi Sane. So that, I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next episode about this week's NXT and NXT UK. Because there's still some loose ends as far as Kairi goes, and we have all been hoping that it would be the Sky Pirates as the tag team, but it makes sense. Just Kairi has joined SmackDown for now. So we end up with a big 4-team 4-on-4 match. Bayley, Ember, Asuka, and Kairi team up to fight the Iconics and Sonya and Mandy. So like all of them, well, they started brawling before this commercial break, and Becky is just like, okay, bye. And I thought that was pretty great. These 8 women, all freaking awesome, and SmackDown is completely stacked now. Because it's all them, and then it was we learned later that it was announced online there are a couple of more people coming over, one of them being Mickie James. Looking forward to seeing her on SmackDown. And who else? There was Oh, heavy machinery. They worked on this episode with their announcers be coming over to SmackDown. Because otherwise we didn't have any other tag teams move over. Um, but I think that's all right because we still have the Bar, we still have the New Day. Once Big E gets back, and while Kevin is in there for now, we also have the Colognes. We don't see them very much. With the club, we have the Hardys, the current champions. And I think that's pretty much everybody for now. Oh, Shinsuke and Rusev. So I don't think SmackDown is really hurting all that much as far as the tag teams go. Raw needed a couple of heavy hitters desperately. So in this match, Kyrie won the match via the insane elbow to Peyton Royce. And again, my argument for having the champions lose in all these matches is that there's not really any incentive for them to put in more effort to win a match like this. Like it doesn't really, why would they care about their win-loss record as long as they're still the champions, right? If they didn't, they're smart enough to take advantage of certain rules to win the championships and to keep the championships. So they're also smart enough to know, like, this doesn't really matter that much. What's going to be more damaging to me, to prolong this fight even more, or is it's all right. Not saying that they give up or anything like that, but that's a defense against, especially when a heel is the champion, is that they don't. There's not really any reason to win against, and if it's a case of they are earning their opportunity by winning the match, well, it's like, well, if I let you get the upper hand during this whole match, I can learn all of your moves. I can learn all of your tricks, and you're not going to learn any of mine because I'm not pulling out my best stuff. So now when we go into the actual championship match, and that could be a justification why so many times they win, someone wins their championship match by beating the champion in a non-championship match, and then they get beaten by the champion. They fail at winning that championship when the title is on the line because they didn't pull out all the stops yet. And I'd say that's a legitimate strategy. Is that you're getting your opponent to reveal all their cards when the stakes aren't there for you. And then once the stakes are on the line, once the championship is on the line, then you put everything you have into it, and that's the first time that they're seeing all of that, so they're not as prepared as you are. So I'd say it's a good strategy. Anyway, we get the news that Buddy Murphy will be joining SmackDown Live, but first, over on NXT, he has a match for the North American Championship against Velveteen Dream, but I'll talk about that in the next episode as well. Shinsuke Nakamura, Rusev, and Cesaro. Oh, this whole night they're building up to the SmackDown's biggest acquisition ever. That's going to be announced by Vince McMahon. So this is at the very end of the show. Before that, we had Shinsuke, Rusev, and Cesaro versus the New Day with Big O. Big O wins the match via a strangely executed stunner to Rusev, and there's much rejoicing. Vince comes out. He introduces the future of the company, of the whole entire industry. And I thought for sure, it's going to be Drew McIntyre. He's done this before for Drew McIntyre. And that may have been the whole intent, to get everybody to think it would be Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns. It was Elias. And I thought that was hilarious and amazing. But Elias, he does this whole spiel, but he's interrupted by Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is on SmackDown Live, and Vince tries to get him to go back, get out of here. Like, you're interrupting. I don't want you out here. And Roman punches him in the face and walks out. So there we have it. I'd say that's a pretty good trade. AJ Styles for Roman Reigns. I mean, it would have been really cool to see AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns again. I think that's one of my favorites. What was that? It wasn't Battlegrounds. It was maybe it was Battlegrounds or Extreme Rules. It was like right before the Superstar, or right before the brand split. Is AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns. So it was before Money in the Bank. Maybe it was Backlash. That might have been it. Back in 2016. One of my favorite Roman Reigns matches. So it'd been cool to see them fight each other again, but could be that they could fight each other at Survivor Series if they're both the champions on their respective brands. But I am equally excited to see Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles, because that is inevitable. And I'm super excited for that. Roman and Seth being on separate shows, I think that's could be a good thing. We're having that live match broadcast on Sunday nights, the final Shield match. So that'll be interesting. I don't know who their opponents are. Maybe they'll just be fighting, I don't know, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre again. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. SmackDown, I think SmackDown benefited quite a bit because we also got Finn and Roman is I think makes up for losing the builder of the house that is SmackDown. We're gonna get to see both of them fight Randy Orton. That'll be great, hopefully. Who else is on here that we'll get to see do all kinds of good stuff? Well, Buddy Murphy, he's gonna be on there. He is so ridiculously good. Like, I'm excited to see, like, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I would have loved to see Buddy Murphy versus Andrade. Unfortunately, he's over on Raw at the moment, but maybe we'll see that down the line. But just imagine, Buddy Murphy versus Cesaro. If we somehow get that happening, man, that would be cool. And then we also have, let's see, who else do we have that came over? I kind of just glossed over this, that Ember Moon and Bayley are on here now. That's going to be awesome to see them fight everybody else who's here on SmackDown still. And we haven't seen Bayley versus Charlotte in a long time. If they ever they did fight a few times when they were both on Raw. We haven't seen Charlotte versus Ember Moon. We haven't seen anybody on this brand against Ember Moon in a long, long time, especially Asuka versus Ember. That'll be a great match to revisit. No word on where Nikki Cross has landed, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. We have Alexander Wolf, who asked for his release. It's assumed that Killian Dane will still be on SmackDown, so possibly Nikki Cross will be on there. It seems that a lot of the married couples, or all of the married couples have been on the same show, have been moved over to the same show with the Usos and Naomi, Zelina Vega and Aleister Black on the same show. Rusev and Lana, of course, did not move, but they're still on the same show. And yeah, I guess we'll see. It sounded like there are a few that were announced afterwards that weren't on TV. And then there also might be a couple of quite big question marks for people who didn't even appear this week, such as Samoa Joe, because if Samoa Joe isn't moving over to Raw, then both the US and Intercontinental Championships are in SmackDown. So technically right now, both of those championships are in SmackDown, until something changes next week, or maybe it's another kind of thing with the US Championship. I think it was 2 years ago where, it was won off of, I think Kevin Owens had it at the time, and then he lost it to, no, Chris Jericho had it. and then he lost it to Kevin Owens, and that made it switch over to the other show. I think that's what happened. But maybe something like that will happen, and Joe will still be on SmackDown. I don't know. We'll find out. And that brings us to 205 Live, episode 125. We open up with the Lucha House Party, cheering on their member of this match, Gran Metalik. So it's Gran Metalik versus Arya Daivari versus Mike Kanellis versus Akira Tozawa. A fatal four-way. I actually didn't really pay attention to this match, unfortunately, because I could tell there's a lot of cool stuff. There's a couple cool things I did see. But it sounded like from commentary that this match was to earn a championship match. But I'm not 100% on that. Arya Daivari won. And so if it is for a championship match, then we're going to get to see Tony Nurse versus Arya Daivari. Tony Nese versus Arya Daivari. That'd be a really cool match. And then our main event, the farewell to Cedric Alexander, who will be going over to Monday Night Raw starting next week, I believe. But yeah, this was his final match on 205 Live. He fought Oni Lorcan. And so I love this match. Both of these guys are awesome. There's one person on Reddit who said Buddy Murphy should have gone to Raw and they should have released Cedric Alexander. They had a lot of downvotes. They were in the negative double digits, I think. So, yeah, that's kind of a ridiculous statement. How could anybody even think that? I don't know. Cedric Alexander is awesome. Awesome. He was he for the majority of 2018, Cedric Alexander was 205 Live. He was the man. And he's still just a top tier talent, and I can't wait to see who he fights week to week. Who he can go after. See him maybe his first match, maybe one of his first matchups. Oh, Apollo Crews. He moves over to SmackDown also, I think. But one of his first matchups, Cedric Alexander, could probably be oh shoot, who's I gonna think? So many people are in tag teams now that he could possibly fight. I could see him fighting Jinder Mahal first, just because Jinder's just there. He's not doing anything particular except to get beaten by people. But Rey Mysterio's over there now also. Although, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe Rey Mysterio, now that he's healed, I imagine. He have a rematch against Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe actually does stay on SmackDown Live, but Rey Mysterio beats him at Money in the Bank and brings the United States Championship over to Raw. That could possibly happen. I mean, if they make that match, then like it kind of has to happen. Unless they also have the Intercontinental Championship challenged by somebody over on Raw. And then that could be kind of interesting, I guess. That's kind of up in the air. But once one happens, then you know who's going to win the other match. Probably. But I don't know. We'll see how they develop it. With Joe not actually being on TV, it's just a big question mark from this last week. But Oni Lorcan won this match, and Oni rules. What else can I say? He's awesome. I met him briefly, and I told him I wish I wore my Oni Rules shirt to get my picture with him. He's like, next time. So I definitely will be wearing it next time. Because I think, if you're going to like meet a bunch of people at Access, everybody's wearing like their AJ Styles shirt and that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, we sell a lot of those shirts. I don't think they appreciate it nearly as much as the lesser known guys and girls. Like Rhea Ripley was the most excited out of anybody that I met when I like turned the corner and wearing the Rhea Ripley shirt, and she's like super excited. And like that was like my favorite moment from all of Access, and it was largely because I was wearing her shirt, and that made her happy, and it made me happy. So I'll definitely be wearing my Oni Rules shirt the next time that I go to Access or something like that. And I might even wear it next week. I'm going to Raw, SmackDown, and a NXT live event next week. So I'll be recording on the road those episodes. And I'm pretty excited for those. And my seats, I got like the cheapest seats available for each of those, but it's still gonna be a lot of fun to actually be there for those, especially if there's like the residual effects of the Superstar Shakeup. So I'm pretty excited for that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I also, a couple other things that I watched since I worked overnight last night. I caught up on NXT and NXT UK, so I'll do an episode about that. But I also watched Ricky Gervais's show Afterlife on Netflix. It's 6 episodes, and I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It made me feel bad a few times because it's all about dealing with loss and all that kind of thing, and there's some bad stuff that happens on the show. But it is also very funny at other times, and I think it's worth checking out. I think it's the best. It's the thing I've enjoyed the most from him since the original Office. So I think it's really good. Although at times it does kind of feel like it's ruminating on the meaning of life, like a little bit too much. Like entire chunks of dialogue, just like, oh, life is about being there for each other and like that kind of thing. And then the next scene, I just telling them their life is about being there for each other. So it's kind of sounding like I don't like this show. I do like it. There's a lot of funny stuff in there, but there are those times where it's a little bit redundant. But yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm going to record my NXT and NXT UK. I have a lot of notes for that. I'm looking over at the page. NXT and NXT UK episode right now, pretty much. So let me know what you thought about everything on this week's SmackDown and 205 Live and the Superstar Shakeup by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you listen. And I'll be back real soon with more here on TIW Podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.